Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics from entrepreneurs with the guile and experience to help you find success in any marketing capacity. You're listening to Marketing School with your instructors, Neil Patel and Eric Su.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Marketing School. I'm Eric Su.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we're going to talk about should you focus on guest posting or building up your own blog. So,
wait, before we get started, it has to be one or the other. We're not going to give you too many options. You either have to blog or guest blog. You have to pick one or the other. So let's go for it.
Yeah. So if I could only pick one, I'm going to pick doing my own blog. And so here's the reason. If I'm going to be building a home, I want to be building it on land that I own, right? Instead of land that I'm renting, because land that I'm renting, they can sell it at any time and then boom, it's gone. Also, if I'm building equity in terms of, search engines seeing the site as an authority, I want to be building it on my own land. All the great content that I'm writing, let's say I'm writing really long form content on Abraham Lincoln, 5,000 words, then I make it 15,000 words. I'm doing all this good stuff. Why would I post it to other places when I'm spending all that time, all that money at the same time? So, if I were to have to choose one, it would definitely be building it on my own property first, because it can be, if I build it on somebody else's, it can be stripped away at any point.
If I had to pick one, just because I'm bored and I want to have some fun, although I am enjoying this right now because I love marketing school, I would say guest blogging. So the reason I say guest blogging is I've been blogging a lot, and probably quite a bit longer than you, Eric, right? How many years have you been blogging?
Well, I think you've been blogging for 17 years, and I've been blogging for like 6 years maybe.
There's no way I've been blogging for 17 years. I've only been in the space for 16. I guess I've been blogging for like 10, 12 years.
Okay, 12 years.
But even then, I crank out way more content than you on a weekly basis, right? Mm-hmm. Probably triple, quadruple?
Probably quadruple.
Per week. So overall, I have just a lot more content. Now, here's the thing. What Eric's saying is right, but I've learned something about blogging over the years. When I first got started into blogging, you have your own blog, you crank out a shit ton of content, you do quite well over time, you get more traffic. Then the market changed, you got more competition, then you have to crank out a ton of content that's high quality, like 2,000 words, and you do really well. Then times have changed again, which being right now, and the sites who crank out the highest quality of content, even if they don't do it frequently, tend to get the most traffic. And I don't have much time, and I'm actually shifting to this model. You'll see after like 30 days, I don't know when this episode's coming out because we run them in chunks or we record them in chunks. Like today we're going to record 10. If you look sometime in November, you'll see that on neilpatel.com, and this is November of 2016, I've switched my blogging model to once a week. Maybe once every 2 weeks, but once a week, somewhere around that range. And the reason being is I'm just blogging really thorough, in-depth content, stuff that's crazy, and hopefully it all hits and gets a lot of search traffic. I'm not going to be blogging on anything that's mediocre or what people would be considered good content. If it's not exceptionally great, it won't be coming from my blog anymore coming mid-November. And for that reason, the entrepreneurs, the Forbes, the Huffington Post, whatever blogs you want to guest post on, they'll take amazing, awesome content. And if you do it, they already have a reach. That content will typically get promoted to their homepage, and you'll instantly get way more traction than if you were blogging on your own blog. Sure, harder to monetize because you don't control it. But you know what? Who cares? They're driving so much more volume that you can push that traffic to landing pages on your site by adding links to your own site. You can even no-follow them. Who cares about the search benefit? And you'll generate leads or sales from it.
So you're saying if you were starting out today, you would start with guest posting first, or you would focus on guest posting first. Is that correct?
That's correct. Even if I had no name, right? Like, it's cheating now. No matter what I do, 18,000 people Google my name each month and click on the first result. So if I don't do anything on any given month, I get 18,000 visits just from my name each month. But I would still do guest blogging because I know if I didn't have a name, it would be a quicker way to get traction, get more visitors, and convert some of those visitors into customers. Even if I am renting that quote-unquote property and I don't control it, I'm okay with that.
Great. So there's obviously a lot of differing opinions around this. I know if you look around, Rand Fishkins is always going to, from Moz is always going to push to build something on his own property. And there's differing camps. Neil happens to do a really good job of getting on other properties and just appearing everywhere, as you can see. So, I think we leave this decision up to you. It really depends on where you sit. I think, they're both logical. I think the thing is this, like, if you start with building up your own blog first, it is going to take a lot of time. It's really stressful. It's probably a 12 to 24 month journey. Neil is right. I mean, if you're looking to get some quick wins immediately, guest posting is a good way to start. But it's not something that you're going to own for a long time. It really depends on what you're offering too.
Yeah, and think of it this way. Right now, you see me everywhere on the web because I blog on my own site and I guest post. I'm almost done guest posting. So funny enough, although I'm telling you one thing, I'm doing something a bit different. I'm now cutting off all my guest posts in America. I'm still guest posting in Brazil, all South America, like so Spanish-speaking countries, and Germany, because we're translating the US-based guest posts and then posting it on their versions of, Entrepreneur, Inc., or Forbes, or whatever it may be, or their local newspaper. But what we're finding is it's great, helps build up your brand, but after, I've done over 1,000 guest posts. That's right, literally over 1,000 guest posts. And I started looking at the stats, because some of these places report the stats. I get way more traffic on my own blog. It's also because of my name. But what I'm doing is just shifting to a strategy where it's just one detailed post a week, and that's it. You're not going to get any more content from me other than podcasting. I'll also start doing videos then when I get more time and move into a house. Right now I'm homeless. But yeah, that's what I would do. But if I had to start all over again, I would just do once a week, not build up my own blog, just pick one really popular site to guest post on, and that's it. And just try to get a ton of traction on it and drive those visitors back to my site. Because I found that blogging isn't as effective as it used to be. If you're starting out right now, it's just way more competitive. It can still work. It's just way more costly. And I think guest posting is a great way to get leads and sales without having to put in the consistent time and effort that you would if you started your own blog.
Yeah, and just to point you guys to some references here, Ahrefs actually did a really in-depth study on the effectiveness of guest posting. I'll also add on to this to say that I used to guest post on a lot of different properties, really well known. I've really basically cut it down to one. But I haven't seen a huge jump from it. Don't get me wrong, the links initially are great and all that. And yeah, you are going to drive some leads for sure. We got actually a really big one from a local company in LA who spends about $150,000 a month in advertising. You can take a look at those resources. And then Backlink is another good example. He only has, 30-ish posts or so. And I think he's getting a ton of traffic each month. Go ahead.
Yeah, and also think about it this way. If you don't mind sharing your stats, Eric, if you don't want to, we can edit this out.
Yeah, sure.
How much traffic do you get on your blog each month?
Yeah, so the Single Grain blog, we peaked out at about 50K a month.
All right, how long have you been doing it for?
Well, I'll share the numbers here. I mean, when I started at Single Grain, this is 3 years ago, we were getting about 5,000-6,000 visits a month.
But it's peaked out.
It's peaked out, yeah.
And would you say you're better at marketing than most people? Let's be honest. Just be
probably.
Blunt. Okay, exactly. Yeah. You are. So if Eric's at 50,000 visitors a month, he's not really growing. It just shows how hard blogging is now. I'm not trying to persuade you guys not to blog, but it's tough. Sure, some people look at my blog because I share my traffic stats on neilpatel.com, and I'm still growing each month. Some months I'm growing 10-20%. But I spend a lot of money, right? And I have more money than most people and resources. I have 150 staff members. Think about that. That's 150 people. I can do more than most people because I'm just really creative. And for some weird reason, I just have a really good knack for blogging and content marketing. And whatever I start in the blogging niche just turns into gold, in which I'm able to get almost anything traffic. If you give me mesothelioma blogs or whatever, I know how to generate traffic to it. But what I do is rare, and I don't think most people can do it. And for that reason, I would recommend guest posting. Yeah,
and also, most people aren't going to go through this whole journey of producing content like Neil is, and he's investing a lot in just overall across the board design, everything the content itself, anything you can think of, he's investing in.
I have a researcher who gets paid $10,000 a month to just go crawl websites to get more marketing data, so that way I can create more interesting posts. like, how many people can do that kind of stuff? Like, Eric and I were talking, it's going to be we're in the last quarter of 2016. And I was telling him I'm going to figure out how to burn $500,000 on my blog within the next 3 months, right? Like, I go crazy, but that's the only reason my blog does extremely well. Plus, I'm bored, and for me, it's like my version of a Ferrari. Some people like fancy cars. I like putting money in blogging. Like, I don't even have a home right now. I find it to be like really funny and get a kick out of it to just spend all my money on blogging.
So Neil's basically the richest homeless guy probably on planet Earth right now.
Probably not, but it could be one of them.
All right. One last thing to kick it off. I mean, to end it with, I think, Gary Vee always talks about playing the arbitrage game, the attention arbitrage game. So if you could, Neil really jumped into the blogging game when it was just starting to rise or when it was really starting to explode. Same deal. If you think about things like we're doing right now, like podcasts, if you think about videos as well, wherever you can jump in where things are just starting to reach its inflection point, that's where you want to jump in. So you don't necessarily need to do blogging. It's just one way to go about growing.
With blogging, if you're starting off right now, it's a lot harder unless you're really creative and good at it. You're not going to get tons of traffic. Like, I was talking to my buddy earlier, and I'm like, I have a nutrition blog. And I was like, it'd be funny? I bet you I can take that to 2 to 3 million visitors a month in traffic in less than a year without spending much money on advertising or even on content marketing. Because I'll do like really creative things like scraping email lists of people within that niche, using Scrapebox, doing email blast out, etc. And I believe I can pull in 1,000 to 2,000 backlinks a month without like buying them or anything or breaking Google's guidelines. But again, like the point I'm trying to make is the type of tactics I'm using and what I'm good at, it's hard to learn a lot of this stuff. And I'm not saying you guys can't do it, but if you're starting off and you don't have a ton of time to spend, then by all means, guest posting is easier to start off with.
All right. That's it for this episode of Marketing School. Again, if you have more topic ideas, we're always open. We'll see you in tomorrow's episode.
This session of Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more daily marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best daily content possible. We'll see you in class tomorrow, right here on Marketing School.